Disney are reeling as an entertainment company. They're losing billions of dollars as their stock price just keeps going down and down in value. A lot of that has to do with their tentpole franchises not really being worth all that much. A lot of it's because of Disney. They've kind of turned a lot of their hardcore family audience off to the programs. They've certainly turned off their hardcore Star Wars fans and MCU fans at this point, and we're seeing a lot of delays. In fact, we've had 3 cancellations from the MCU. It all came out in this Hollywood article report, although I do believe the 3 canceled programs will come back on the docket once the strikes are over with the writers and actors and all that stuff. And we do have an update on SheHulk. Apparently there might be a season 2 in the works, something I don't think any of us expected. Now let's get to these mass delays and cancellations because there's a lot of them. Marvel Studios has reshuffled the release dates for its slate of television shows. What If, Echo, and Agatha Coven of Chaos, now titled Agatha Darkhold Diaries, if that's a better name, are among the titles receiving new dates. The move comes amid Hollywood strike as well as a general pullback from Disney+. It's a far cry from last year's San Diego Comic-Con when Marvel unveiled plans for Phase 5 and Phase 6 of its movies and television shows. Of the 5 planned 2023 shows, only the spring Secret Invasion, October's Loki, and The Hollywood Reporter can reveal What If Season 2. Only the spring Secret Invasion, October's Loki, and What If Season 2 remain of that plan for this year. And yes, there will be a lot of finger pointing at the writers and actors strikes, and that certainly plays a large part in this. We're going to talk about some of those details as we move on down the list. But I think a lot of it is general chaos and realization from Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, everyone associated with Marvel Studios and Disney, realizing they've kind of butchered their cash cow. It's no longer the goose laying the golden egg. They've kind of just destroyed the value in that by releasing so much bad MCU. That's really what this is in response to. Yes, there are a few projects that the strikes are affecting, but I think a lot of this is absolutely 100% on Kevin Feige as a leader at Marvel Studios, not realizing he needed to actually hire the best talent, period, to produce and direct and write these shows. And we've seen that a lot with just really low quality MCU stuff. What's the last MCU show on Disney Plus that you can honestly say was good? Is it WandaVision? If you want to say that one was good, that might be the last one. There have been so many duds. And it turns out it was actually just getting worse. A lot of the shows that we're about to talk about that still have release dates have been pushed back have just had these terrible production nightmares that don't come down to, well, there was like a typhoon somewhere. It was like, oh my goodness, we wrote and actually recorded such bad material, we have to scrap everything and start over from the beginning because it would be embarrassing. Even by MCU like Phase 4 standards, it would be embarrassing. That's how bad this stuff is. The number one culprit that we've heard of, Echo, a spinoff from last year's Hawkeye, was originally announced for November 29, but is now shifted to January 2024. The series stars Alaqua Cox as a one-time head of criminal organization who returns to her hometown in Oklahoma to come to terms with her past. The series, which centers on a character who is deaf and of Native American descent, is described as having a grittier, more grounded tone than some of the other Marvel series, and will feature appearances by Daredevil and the villain Kingpin. As previously announced, all the episodes will drop at the same time, which is not the normal modus operandi for Marvel Studios with their programs on Disney+. We've heard about this Echo, that it was so bad that once Kevin Feige saw it, he said, we have to scrap everything, rewrite everything, and then reshoot it. And actually, instead of it being like 8 or 10 episodes, it's going to be like 4 or something because it was that bad. I don't know why they ever thought making an Echo show would really work. If you watched Hawkeye, and I watched Hawkeye, and you know what? I liked Hawkeye. I thought there was some real good stuff about that show. There was a likability about most of it. Echo wasn't one of those, and it's not that Echo wasn't a cool character, but the actress that they got was just this like black hole of charisma. There was nothing to her. She was just like this really stoic, stone-faced character that didn't really do much. And then even when you saw her fight, you're like, it doesn't really even matter because you never actually built the stakes up in the character or the story or the fact that she's even like dangerous at that point. You just wanted her to get beat up by Kingpin. So I don't know why they thought making an Echo show was a good idea because they didn't have a main eventer to put up on the marquee. They didn't really have an actress that could actually carry a show. And I understand the actress herself is deaf like the character, but we've certainly seen deaf actors in the past not have this problem. I don't know exactly why this has happened with Alaqua Cox, but it doesn't look like they cast it very well. And we certainly have heard the rumors that it's going to be very, very Daredevil and Kingpin heavy. Kingpin makes sense. He is the adoptive father of Echo, so you would expect to see that character, but apparently we're going to get a lot more of Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin and Charlie Cox as Daredevil to kind of, I guess, to distract you from the fact that Echo herself just isn't interesting and probably shouldn't have her own show. They probably should have just scrapped this idea altogether once they realized how bad it was, rather than reinvesting like more time and money and energy into getting something that is so bad that you're still just mass dumping it off, which they never do on Disney Plus. So I don't even know why they even made that show. But mark my words, it's going to absolutely suck. Guaranteed. Next on the schedule will be XMen 97, the animated series that acts as a spiritual and total continuation of the classic 1990s series that aired on Fox. The series, which was announced in 2021, was originally planned for the fall of 2023 debut, but will now premiere in early 2024. The show is being described by sources who have seen it as retro and a love letter to the original. A season 2 remains in the works. I don't really have anything to say about this other than I really love the original X-Men cartoon in the 90s. And I especially love playing that X-Men like video game that they had at the arcade that had like the 4-top panel where you could play as Nightcrawler and kick everyone's ass because he was the best character. I don't care if you like Wolverine. Nightcrawler is the best character in that arcade game. I'm kind of excited about this. If I was a lot younger, I would probably watch it by myself, because I do have very fond memories of X-Men. But now that I'm in my mid-40s and actually have 3 kids that are 8, 4, and 2, I have to watch so many cartoons that I don't particularly enjoy, that I don't really go out there and search for cartoon content on my own. I think this will probably be worthwhile. Although there is that thing in the back of my mind that reminds me that I read the recent X-Men revival that was supposed to be a love letter to the animated show in comic books written by Steve Fox, and it's one of the worst comics I've ever read in my life. So there's a good chance this thing sucks too, but hopefully it's good. How could you mess up an homage to X-Men 90s cartoon show that everyone loved? There's a chance this one just doesn't suck. So that's the good news. Agatha, the WandaVision spinoff starring Kathryn Hahn, was originally announced for a winter 2023 release that has been pushed back to early fall of 2024, where it will serve as a lead up to the Halloween holiday. The show, which completed its filming before the strikes, was previously titled Agatha House of Harkness and then Agatha Coven of Chaos before falling on its current name, Agatha Darkhold Diaries. You could call this show anything that you want, and it's probably going to be bad. I don't know. Why does this show exist? If you work at Disney Plus or Marvel Studios, or maybe you're just like a big Agatha Harkness fan, please explain to me in the comments section why they even thought this was a good idea. No one cares about that character. She's the definition of not even a side character. She's like a side character, somebody that you don't even give a solo title to in comic books when you're putting out 50 titles in a month because she's never been important enough. I don't care if you thought you got the casting right on that one. It's so weird that they're just making all this drivel of stuff that nobody has ever even considered. You're like, what would be great? An Agatha Harkness show. That's what they should really lead off with. It's there's so many great characters that are available to Marvel Studios, and they keep picking the lamest ones possible. At least this one is leading up to Halloween or whatever. So it will have a thematic advantage to it. So maybe people that are in the Halloween spirit will actually watch the show on accident looking for some programming that fits the holiday. But God, because there's just so much crap out there. It makes no sense. Speaking of crap with characters that no one cares about, Ironheart, a show focused on genius inventor Riri Williams, first introduced in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, was to have dropped this fall, but that is now off the schedule. It finished shooting, but its completion is affected by the strikes. Daredevil Born Again, a continuation of the Netflix series in the MCU, was expected to debut in spring of 2024, paused in mid-production amid the strikes. Wonder Man was also paused in mid-production. So those are the 3 shows that have technically been canceled. They're not even on the schedule anymore. The Ironheart thing, if they've already filmed it and it's a writer's strike and it's an actor strike, why would that affect the release date of the show? You've already got the performances by the actors of the script that was written by the writers, unless you need to reshoot the whole damn thing, which I imagine probably needs to happen. After hearing everything that happened with Echo, another spin-off character that they never probably should have turned into a TV show, that thing turned into an absolute production nightmare. And there's a good chance Ironheart did too. Did you watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever? I watched it. There are some redeeming qualities about that movie. One of them is not the Ironheart character herself. She's just so bad. She's every other teenage character that they've decided to force into the MCU over the past 3 or 4 years. There's just so many of them. They're just all the same character. They're all super geniuses outside of like the new Hawkeye, which I actually thought was a pretty good casting, and they really kind of fixed the character in that show. They've got a lot of fixing to do with Ironheart, because if you go to the source material in the comic books, Ironheart is a character that never even started to get over. At least the thing you can say about Miss Marvel, at least early on, initially, there were sales associated with the character. There was a level of enthusiasm around Kamala Khan that never, ever happened with Riri Williams. I understand it was like a Bendis creation and he was trying to reinvent Iron Man, but they never fleshed out Riri as a character to be likable. Like even her origin itself just makes her such an unlikable person. And then when you go watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever, like you see basically all those same elements with the character, but she's even less likable on the big screen. I don't know how they pulled it off, but that was the coup de grace. That was hard to do, to make Riri Williams one of the most unlikable superheroes of the last 10 years of comic books, even more unlikable on the big screen. But they did it. As far as Daredevil Born Again, we'll see what happens. That was the one show I was really excited about when they announced all these new shows, and now we find out that it's going to be like a really watered down version of the Netflix show, and they're bringing the same actors back, but they're not really bringing the same tone. It's not even going to be a continuation of what that was, and what Daredevil was on Netflix, especially for the first 2 seasons, was absolutely spectacular. And as far as Wonder Man goes, like, who cares? Now let's get to the She-Hulk stuff. According to Trusted Scooper, My Time to Shine Hello on Twitter, She-Hulk Season 2 is happening, but Marvel will not begin developing it until after the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes. The first season of She-Hulk was released weekly on Disney Plus from August to October 2022, focusing on Bruce Banner's cousin, Jennifer Walters, a single 30-something attorney who also happens to be a green, 6'7" super-powered Hulk. Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios, and Disney got less than favorable feedback when it came to the first season of She-Hulk. It's basically like the biggest, most obvious, obnoxious FU to just like the MCU fandom at large you've ever seen in your life. It was such a bad show. Nobody really liked it. The CGI was really terrible, and there's really nothing redeeming about She-Hulk Season 1 whatsoever. It's not like it had huge viewership. The people that did watch it, for the most part, were unsatisfied with the show, especially the conclusion, which was really bad. Somehow the worst thing about the show is the last 15 minutes of it. And I don't know why they're coming back for a Season 2. Are they trying to redeem Jen Walters and Tatiana Maslany, who seemed like a good choice to play the character, but you know, it's probably not her fault that the writing and directing and the production was just so terrible and so anti-fan. I don't know why they would even want to touch this character again. She's so toxic at this point, but maybe they buy into the controversy creates cash like idea when it comes to entertainment. As long as people are talking, it doesn't matter if they hate it kind of thing. And basically, Season 2 of She-Hulk is just a reason for YouTubers to make more money making fun of a show that no one likes. So I don't think this is even a worthwhile endeavor. Agatha Harkness, what is the name of it now? The Darkhold Diaries, probably has more of a future in the entertainment industry at this point than She-Hulk does, which sucks because She-Hulk is such a better character. But that's what's going on. We're likely to get a Season 2, according to the rumors. We've got 3 shows canceled at this point: Ironheart, Wonder Man, as well as Daredevil Born Again. Sounds like the strikes have really affected the 2 latter. They're claiming it did the first one. That doesn't really make sense because the shooting's already done. And then there's just a bunch of delays on stuff that probably should have never been made to begin with, other than X-Men 97, which I have hope for, that maybe it'll actually be good. I talked about the issues previously that are affecting Echo and why it's such a nightmare of a production and why they probably should have just scrapped it to begin with. If you haven't seen all of it or you haven't heard all of it, or got my takes on it, here's your opportunity to see it right now. I got the video right here. If you can't see it here, there's also a link in the video description.